It is go time on another edition of the Eye on Life podcast. I'm your host, Brian Boyer. Like us, share us, follow us. And as always, I want to thank our sponsor, mustny.com. We're still wearing the masks at the moment. We're all getting, hopefully, have you gotten vaccinated, Coach? Are you vaccinated yet? Or Soon, I know. It's and you know, everybody's kind of in their own spot. Some people haven't gotten it, some people aren't going to get it, some people are, whatever. Whatever you choose to do is up to you. But if you decide to go out in public, I know that people still need to wear the masks. MustNY.com is our show sponsor. And we also have some new listeners this week. I want to recognize them and thank them, along with all of our listeners from everywhere around the world. Pompano Beach, Florida. Any recruits from Pompano Beach, Coach?
I love Pompano Beach. One of the great players of all time was from there. Eddie Jones from Temple.
Eddie Jones, Pompano Beach representing. We appreciate that. I've already scared Coach Gallagher away. It's not, the show hasn't even started yet, and we're already. I have that effect on people, but usually it's 10 minutes into the show.
Is this a podcast or a Zoom?
I'm sorry.
Is it a pod or a Zoom? Or can you click on it and watch?
We're doing it all. You're the podcast. We're video. We do it all here. We do it all. We want to be seen. We want to be seen and heard. That's the key. So, and then we also had a couple listeners from Conway, Arkansas. I've never been to Conway, Arkansas, but we're happy to be representing the South. So we want to thank our new listeners and viewers, and also thank everyone else who supports the show. I want to welcome. So this is a great show today because we are actually our guest is now a historical figure, because he has made history over the past few weeks. We're going to get into that in a second, but I want to welcome to the show John Gallagher, who is the head men's basketball coach at the University of Hartford, which is a special place for me. I got my MBA at the University of Hartford. Coach Gallagher and I have gone, it's been several years now. I know, you've always been amazing to my kids, my family. It's been amazing. You've been awesome. And you recently went to the NCAA Tournament for the first time ever. So, Coach Gallagher, thanks so much for joining us on the Eye on Life podcast.
Well, I really appreciate it. And I'm a big fan of you, Brian. And it's exciting time to be a Hartford resident, West Hartford resident, a University of Hartford grad, a University of Hartford student. So it's a great time to be in the neighborhood.
It is the neighborhood. We know what that means, right? If you've been to the game, you know what that means. Check out the hashtag, right? I have to ask you two questions before we sort of get into your whole story here, because we want to kind of relive this experience. Yeah, a very unique one, and the experience that we're going to talk about today with the NCAA tournament is an experience that very few people encounter. It's very rare. So we're going to talk about that. It's very unique. But I want to ask you two questions. Okay, these are very, very important, as always, right? One is something that bothers me, which what doesn't bother me these days, and then another is kind of a personal question for you. So the Baylor wins the other night, right? The team that you actually played. I think you set the tone for them. I think probably played them hard right from the very beginning. So we're going to talk about that too. But Baylor wins the other night, and then within 24 hours, there's talk about the ever so early picks for next year. Why does I don't know if that's a media creation or what that is, but that always drives me crazy after a championship, and it's not just college basketball. But like literally 12 hours after the championship, rather than just kind of enjoying the moment, we're already looking ahead to, who's the favorite for next year? I understand that might come about soon, but why is that a thing, Coach? I'm wondering, why do people already I know we have preseason polls. I know there are guides that'll come out fairly soon talking about next year, but why is it 12, 24 hours that we already have to hear about who the favorite is for next year? I mean, how do we really know? Drives me crazy. I don't get that.
It's the media.
Okay, so it is a media creation.
Well, I mean, they got to get clicks, and they got to get, for coaches, they don't even know who's coming or who's going, who's in the transfer portal or not. How do you say that? So it's definitely 100% on the media just trying to get excited. I'm not blaming them. It's just no one can just say, you know what, we're going to take 1 month to enjoy Baylor's win. Right. We're going to take a month even to enjoy Gonzaga's season. Even though they didn't win, they should be praised. And then it goes even to the Hartford Hawks. Like, let's take a breath and say, you know what, we've done something that's never been done.
Well, it's always looking at it to the next thing, right? And I agree. You're right though. People want the clicks. They want to. It drives me crazy because and it's just like right now we're getting ready for football, right? With all the mock drafts and everything, which is another thing I've talked about that in the show before. It drives me crazy because you just don't know. And then to start predicting a year from now. Although I will say this, okay, I am going to contradict myself a little bit. I am predicting right now that the Hartford Hawks will win the America East back-to-back next year. I'm predicting it right now. You heard it here. Take it to the bank. Take it to Vegas. Take it wherever you want to go. That's my prediction.
From your lips to God's ears.
Well, you got it. Well, you've already started the trend now. So, and you technically, this could have been your second year in a row winning this thing. I know the game last year's Vermont got canceled, which was devastating. I know. I want to get your perspective on that. So this next year could actually be a three-peat, but you've heard it here first. Next year, you guys are going to beat Stony Brook in the finals. You heard it here first from on the Iron Life podcast, breaking news. I have another very important question for you. So anybody who's ever been to a University of Hartford game or has watched the game on TV or seen you knows that you have a certain amount of energy on the sideline as a coach.
Yes.
So my question to you is this, and I love it. I have to be honest with you. There have been times when I come to the games and I actually watch you more so than the game. Not to make you self-conscious or anything, but it's entertaining. I don't want to say it's more entertaining. The game is, but it's very entertaining to watch you. You can feel the passion. You can feel the energy. So my question to you is, after a game, let's say a regular, forget the first round of the NCAA tournament. After a midweek game against Binghamton, for example, right? Tuesday night, 5th game of the season. Who's more exhausted, your players or you? That's a serious question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm put it this way. I burn my heart rate. I wear one of those Whoop bands, and my heart rate for 2 hours is between 130 and 168, 170. And I got the graphs, and I'm doing it. That's a 2-hour workout. And the calories I'm burning is between 1,400 and 1,700 during that time, depending on if it's a close game, I guess. Right. Can't figure it out. But from a health perspective, I have to work out at Orange Theory to stay in shape because I have to get ready for coaching shape.
Well, you don't have to wear a shirt. You don't have to wear a suit though to Orange Theory. I mean, you have to wear the suit out. I know that sometimes you have to wear the suit. It's not, and that's the other thing too. You're out there. You're in a shirt. I mean, I think I've seen the tie come off several times.
That was actually the tie came off in the first 3 years. I have not taken the tie off, and I leave the jacket on now.
Does your family? I know you have a family. You have a lovely family. Are they ever like, John? Because they're probably not calling you coach, but we're getting a little worried about you out there. You have to just chill out. At least just take 5 minutes in each half and sit down and relax a little bit. I mean, is there ever any concern about that heart rate going, outside of the field house a little bit, kind of climbing the walls and then going to the roof of the field house?
Maybe as I get older, but I'm in good shape. I eat healthy. I run. I'm working out. Maybe as I get older, sure. But God, is it fun? Isn't the last 4 years we broke the record for school wins, and it's the best 4 years in the history of school. The energy behind the program's at an all-time high. We're flying. I mean, we're doing very well. So it's exciting.
When you have a season like this, and first off, let me just give you, to your point, setting all these records and getting to the NCAA tournament for the first time in the school's history. That's why you're the historical figure on the show this week. And I really want to talk to you about that experience firsthand, because I think it's such a fascinating, exciting experience. But when you have a season like this and you've built the program in the way that you've built it, but you have this appearance where you go, and I know sometimes early in the season, I know you guys you've played some big programs as well. I know you've played Duke and you've played some of the top programs in the country. And then when you have a season like this, how much does that, this might be an obvious question, how much does that help recruiting? Well, of course, people want to come and play for a winner, but But they say like Baylor. Now Baylor's admissions rate is going to go up now, right? Because they won the national championship. But what does that do for you as a recruiter? What does that do for the University of Hartford as an academic institution when you have a year like this? It's all marketing, it's all exposure, it's all promotion. Aside from basketball.
They say it's 15 to 20% more in admissions. The press that we got, the national press we got, I've heard from the governor, Governor Lamont. I've heard from Senator Chris Murphy. I heard from Mayor Luke Bronin, and I heard from the Speaker of the House, Matt Ritter. So I'm going to say this, like, the University of Hartford has never really had that type of exposure. And I'm dying to see what happens over the next 18 to 36 months, and really trying to do it again next year. We do have everybody returning except one player, but for the national exposure, if you can do it back-to-back years, or 2 years every, do it, next year and then the following year. Like, what happens to a school like that? Because I think we've cracked the code a little bit on how we play. Recruiting's never been better. And we are working harder than we've ever worked. Like, this season's ended, I haven't taken a breath. I'm recruiting, and we're nonstop with it.
So when it comes to recruiting, which I've always found absolutely interesting, because that, the recruiting piece is what makes or break the program, and the recruiting piece is not something that everyone sees. The public doesn't see that. You're off, as you said, no breath for you. You're in the process of recruiting right now. University of Hartford obviously offers a lot, right? It's a great campus, great location. Academically, the school is excellent. Especially some of the schools within the school. I know Barney's a great school, and the music school, and a ton of great programs. So when you go out and you are talking to students, and not only the students but their parents as well, I don't want you to give away any top secrets here. Okay, I know this, again, CIA here. I don't want you to divulge. I don't want the coaches of Binghamton and Stony Brook and Lowell to be listening to this saying, okay, we're taking notes. But what's kind of what's your pitch? The school gives you a lot of assets to sell. You now have a winning program, which is huge. But what are you selling to the student when you're in their home, you're on a Zoom, you're talking to them on the phone? What are you telling them to get them to come play for Coach John Gallagher and the University of Hartford?
Well, first off, we talk about the neighborhood. We talk about what it means to be in a neighborhood, the community. We talk about what it means to be a part of something bigger than yourself. That if you do things the right way, they'll remember you around here for a long time. They're going to remember Tracy Carter forever around here. And there's a huge advantage to that. We take a backseat to nobody right now as far as how we play, how hard we play. We respect everybody, but the thing that you're getting from us right now is a belief and a truth that we as a university belong on a national stage. That takes a long time to get there, Brian. It's so much time and effort, and it takes your whole soul to get here. But we're confident and we can continue at this level. We've been top 4 in the league the last 4 years, and I've always said this: if you're top 4 in this league, you can beat anybody at any time in the country. And we've done it, and we, back-to-back championship appearances, and now the first one. So it's exciting for us, Brian.
How did you get in it? Just to give a little bit about your background. I know it's a lot. We could do a whole show on just your background. I know it's extensive. I know you played basketball. And actually, I want to digress for 1 second here, because I do want to mention this. I don't remember exactly what number you were, but there was an article. I think it was on ESPN.com. I'm sure you saw this. They ranked every coach that was in the tournament as basketball players.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was obviously, after you guys had earned earned the berth into the tournament, I was curious to see where you ranked. You were pretty high up. I was looking through it. I was like, I kept going and going and going, and as I started from the bottom and went up, and still no John. He's all the way up there. So you do have a basketball background. You were a player. You obviously love the game. You're a coach. You're a mentor. But what made you get into this? It's obviously a lot of work, a lot of time away from your family, a lot of travel, a lot of gritty type of work too. But what made you get into coaching besides your the love of basketball?
So, one of the things that is hard to describe, but the first time you walk into the Palestra on the University of Pennsylvania's campus, it's a life-changing thing. It's a cathedral, and it's a living organism. So I was 5 or 6 when I first went in the building, and I was at games from till I became a player at St. Joe's. The building is electric. It's why so many coaches come from Philadelphia. And I owed a debt of gratitude to my parents for bringing me into that building. That's how and then my high school coach, Buddy Gardler, and then my college coach, Phil Martelli. There's guys that really had a major impact on my life. So I was really, really fortunate to get that opportunity. And I wouldn't do anything else other than coach. And now that I've fallen in love with this area, it's like, where do you take it from here? How good can Hartford get? And we have a thing that we say, why not Hartford? And why not Hartford?
And I think that you, as the head coach and the leader of the program, and your players and the whole campus community in the neighborhood, right, embody what Hartford is all about from an economic standpoint, from a quality of life standpoint, from a hardworking standpoint. So there are as in the role that you're in, there's a lot on your shoulders. Let me ask you this question, okay? Because you're still, you're in the college environment. You said before that you're in really good shape. And I believe you, which is great, because you have to be in good shape, I think, to do what you do. Is there anybody on your team that can beat you one-on-one?
I mean,
your college players.
I don't play. I haven't played because I run, I bike, I lift, but I don't. My whole thing about playing is it's so sacred to me that when I play, and people can attest to this, it's very intense, and I don't mess around. It's a sacred game to me. Where if I went out and played soccer or baseball or tennis, that's an activity. Right. When I play basketball, it's a game. There's a difference between activity and game. Game is about winning and losing. Activity is about getting a sweat and making sure that you can lay yourself down and say, you know what, I did something active today.
If we could only, I have to look for some fast footage of you playing basketball. I have to check that out. So let's move on a little bit here. And you're again, we're talking to Coach John Gallagher, head coach of the men's basketball program. No, it's not, and I say program intentionally. This is not just a team, right? It is a team, but program that you've put together. Hartford Hawks' first ever appearance in the NCAA basketball tournament. So you had the disappointment of last. What should have been a memorable, I'm sure it still was. Let's not diminish it, but what should have been even more memorable last year, playing in the championship of the America East tournament. And Vermont, I know, is always one of the better programs in the league. And to have that canceled because that's right when COVID hit. And then coming into this year and starting not from scratch, but the season started from scratch. What drove you this year as far as your motivation, your energy? What drove your team this year to have the success that you had on and off the court, especially when, no one was really around to see it?
I think we were on a mission, and that mission had to do about our suffering from the game getting canceled the year before. We suffered, and we were on a complete mission to get back to where we get the win. I mean, that win at Vermont, we walked off the floor, did not celebrate on the floor. That's how focused we were. And it was almost surreal. Got in the locker room, got back. we had 7 days till the next game against UMass Lowell. And the mentality all year, Brian, was about how good can we be? And we kept on raising the bar and raising the bar.
Not that you would not have had the success had last year played out differently, but when you say you suffered, what do you mean exactly by that? And was that just an added, again, not that you needed it, but was that an added motivation? It sounds like maybe it was that an added motivation for the players this year to come back and say, let's finish what we started, what we weren't allowed to finish last year?
I mean, added motivation, I don't know if that's it. I think it's just like, we've been here 36 years, never got there, had great years. Look, I've been here 11 years, 6 of the best 11 years when we were here. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm saying that because the guys that have bought into this neighborhood, they deserve, like, that wasn't about a 1-year fluke. That was a whole transformation of all those guys and all those guys that from all the time we took to get it to this point. And I say crack the code. We finally got there and did it. The energy and effort it takes, I mean, it's so hard. And now you have the momentum at your back. It's like you want to continue it. You want to keep doing it.
Was there any point during this season? And again, this was unique in every sense of the word, because not only was it your first ever appearance in the NCAA basketball tournament, but you did it under very unique circumstances, right? With COVID and a lot of athletics shutting down, and a lot of and other athletics that were still going on, not having spectators, and the constant stress of whether players were healthy or not healthy, and keeping all that going. But was there ever any point during the season where something clicked in your head and said, I think this could be, I don't want to get too far ahead of things here, but I think this team might be the one that's going to the tournament? Or was it not until it happened that you actually started to really believe that?
No, I think, look, we were in good position. We had split with UMBC.
Right.
The game got canceled with Vermont. And, then the next weekend it got canceled. We had a lot of cancellations. And we replayed, we missed 4 games, but we finally got to a point where we were coming. I mean, we were coming. And I think it was, the road win at Stony Brook where we didn't play great and we won, where I think everybody in the room realized, like, even when we don't score, we can win. That was the one game that I think was the difference.
So I want to go back to what I would imagine were 2 very surreal and special moments for you. And I want to kind of get how you were feeling, how the team was feeling. UMass Lowell. Okay, you're 40 minutes away from literally this dream, right? First time ever. And, you're at a point in the game where, I know if I recall correctly, it was fairly close most of the way. There was no blowout or anything like that. But, when you knew that the clock was starting to tick down and this game was yours, what was the emotion that you were feeling? What were you saying to your players? What were they saying to you? Again, there was no crowd, right? So what was going on at that particular moment in your mind and their minds? And what was some of the talk that was going back and forth?
With about 2 minutes left, we were up 17. Is that what you mean at the end? What was going through my mind?
End, right? Because I know, wasn't it? It was fairly close for a good portion of it, and you pulled away at the end.
Yeah.
So you had a little bit of breathing room at the end.
So it was 17.
Yeah.
But we went to the zone, and it was the key to the game.
Right.
And we held the zone, and we finally got where we felt good about it, right? And it was 17. They might have hit a shot. And I'll never forget, they didn't foul. And I turned to my assistant, Tom, and Yolonzo. I said, get the subs ready. And I realized, holy cow, I'm subbing everybody out of a championship game. Oh my God. I just remember saying, oh my, like we did it. And took 11 years, took COVID last year getting canceled. But I have to tell you, the pain to get here, it's immense. And you may say, what do you mean? Brian, it's painful. I mean, that game got canceled. I still remember it like it was yesterday.
It's amazing emotions. You're saying it's the game from last year, and then I would imagine what kind of emotions were you feeling when? Because you always know when the game is over when the subs come in and the opposing team that's losing starts fouling. That's when the game is over. So 2 minutes left in the game, you're doing this, and what's going through your head? Are you thinking, can't wait to see my family? I'm thinking about what I'm going to tell these guys in the locker room. I'm thinking about Vermont last year and how horrible I felt, but now here we are.
I'm thinking one thing. I can't wait to cut down that net.
Yeah.
That's just cut down the net. I can't wait to hang a banner in the gym. I can't wait to celebrate this team around the state because they deserve it. And the university deserves it. And, the belief that we've had in this place that I've tried to give off to people because I think this area is a special area. And, the Whalers leaving pained a lot of people. And how many people, during the NCAA tournament run came up to me and said, it's the first time Hartford's been on the national stage since. I mean, it's has to be over 100 people.
The community support seemed especially overwhelming. I mean, there were a lot of articles. There were a lot of, even on social media, you saw a lot of people from a lot of different, the business community and you mentioned before, politicians, and everybody really got behind you guys, which I thought was awesome. And I think that does say a lot about the area and about the school, because it is really kind of it's a small town feel. And a very unique experience. It's UConn. I mean, people gets behind UConn, but everybody assumes UConn should make it most of the time. I know they've had some lean years, but University of Hartford, first time ever.
UConn's the state school. Right, we're the neighborhood school.
That makes sense.
And they deserve UConn. I'm a big fan of Danny and UConn. That's great, but there's no reason the neighborhood school can't have great success.
And you proved that this year. Let's get on to the NCAA the tournament, right? March Madness, you're soaking that in, and they always show, I know that they always show, the announcement when the brackets come out, they announce it, and, you're all excited. This year's a little different, obviously, because I know things were a little more self-contained, but what was the reaction of you and your team when you saw that University of Hartford 16 seed was taking on number 1 seed Baylor?
I just rose my hand. I stood, and it was a reaction. We waited a long time to get to this. Jack Fallon brought us Division I, former coach here and former AD at Farmington High School. This place deserves it. And that's what I felt. And, I think the reality is when you deserve something, you go about it differently. It's like you go about it like you're on a pursuit of something, not like you're just there. And Baylor game was like, all right, we deserve to be here. And if you watch the game, we played it like we should have won. Now, look, it got away from us, but we were up 14-13 with 7 minutes left. And I'm telling you, we might have played the best first 10 minutes than anybody.
I'm sure you watched the championship game.
Yes.
As I was watching the championship game between Baylor and Gonzaga, I texted one of my friends. And I said two things to him. He's local here as well. I said, you realize that this Baylor run all started with the University of Hartford. And then I said, is it me, or did Hartford play them much better than Gonzaga's playing them right now? Because that was a flurry of madness at the beginning. It looked like, at one point, and I'm not, listen, let's say Gonzaga, let's give them their due. Amazing season, right? Win or lose that game, amazing season. But Baylor came out of that like they were out of a shoot, right? And Gonzaga looked like they were almost, it was like a Division I playing Division III almost. You guys came out and you were right with them for a good portion of that game.
100%. And
so I thought that was great. I thought that was amazing to see that. And I did call that out. I did say Hartford played them better than Gonzaga's playing them right now. That was early in the game. But it obviously didn't get that much better. So let me ask you this, Coach. As far as the experience that in the tournament, heading out to Indianapolis, and there was a video that you guys posted. You guys did a great job, and it was on YouTube. It was like fast motion of, I think it was literally you walking out of your hotel room and walking it looked like it probably took you about a half hour, but it was like 2 minutes, right? In this fast forward. And it looked like we were walking through all these, like, the hotel and the lobby and high-fiving other people. And I think there were some players that were with you, and you finally arrived at the venue and everything. To me, that walk must have just been a dream for you. But I want to ask you, as far as the experience, getting on the airplane, landing, and again, I know there were less activities this year because of COVID and all that, but what was the memory? What was what stood out to you within the whole experience that you and your team had? Was it, was there a meal that stood out? Was the hotel incredible? Was it just getting out on the court and warming up? What was the thing that kind of stood out to you, or a couple things that stood out to you as a coach for an NCAA tournament team?
When I went out 15 minutes before the game, I went out to the crowd, and to see 400 local fans drive out, fly out, get there, and the energy that they brought, I just felt like we changed the program. We changed the city, or changed the area and how they view Hartford basketball and the excitement. I mean, that stood out to me. And then the next one was, I've had hundreds of people now that I've been out walking around, is, how do we get season tickets? I can't tell you how many people have hit me up about season tickets. And that jumps out. Those two jump out at me. Getting their season tickets, getting seats ready, getting, so that has really, that has changed my perspective.
The arena is going to be rocking next year. I mean, it really is. It's going to be fun to see that, and we'll get past COVID here, and hopefully we'll be all be at full capacity. How do you? So you were obviously, this was not just fun for you. You were going out there, and you were going out there to win the game. Obviously, you were not just going out there. This was not just a token, right? And it's now not unprecedented that a 16 seed has beaten a number 1 seed. So it is possible, and it happened to be a team from your league, right? UMBC. Beating Virginia. So how do you prepare your team though? This is unprecedented in so many ways, right? There's again, COVID, you've never been to the tournament. So it's not like, I don't know if Mike Krzyzewski or, someone, Bill Self has a template for what the itinerary looks like, because they go so often, but you have never experienced, your program had never experienced this before. So how do you, cause the team did not look nervous when they came out in those first few minutes of the game. They really didn't. You're in a big place, right? Bigger than what you're used to seeing. And how did you prep them for what they were about to experience as part of this journey?
Well, you just prepare. You do what you do. You don't do anything out of the realm. You don't do any New Grotny speeches. You do what Hartford does. And you expect to win. And that's why we came out with such great energy and such great pop. And I know people, I've gotten a million texts, 14, 13, you were up. It's funny, but it's exciting, Brian. And it tells you how important moments like that are to so many people along the journey that care about Hartford, the area, and the community, and the neighborhood, as we like to say. So many people are passionate about the community, but now so many people are passionate about the program.
And we've used, and I know what it is, but I want to make sure that because you've referenced it several times, so I just want to make sure I do call it out. When you say the neighborhood, I just want to make sure that people who are maybe not from this area or might not be familiar with it, when you say the neighborhood, what does that mean?
Okay, the people in the neighborhood could be from New Zealand, could be from Australia. They're people that are in our group that have played here. Their kids have played here. They've lived here. They've been to a game here. They don't even have to live here. And they've fallen in love with what Hartford is. The university, the city, could be anything. It's the local community. But it also is us supporting each other. It's us supporting the firefighters, the local businesses. It's us supporting. It's real. It's real. The neighborhood is real. And we have to lift you up and not put you down. We have to lift the people up. And it's people from all over the world that want to be in that type of community. Don't look at Google. Look at the neighborhood. Find somebody in the neighborhood that wants to help. And that's us.
Well, the recipe clearly works for you. I do have a couple more questions before we let you go here. I know you're busy. Probably have a recruiting call coming up after this. So I really appreciate you fitting us in here. But I do want to ask you two more questions. When you played, and again, we're not really getting into the nuts and bolts of on the court here, but I do have to ask you this question because I'm really curious. When you played Baylor, obviously you didn't know that they were going to go on, and well, maybe you did. You might have realized that maybe this was a championship team that you were playing, but you obviously didn't know. You can't predict the future. There are always a lot of upsets or a decent amount of upsets in the tournament, right? And there were several upsets this year as well. But when you played Baylor, not the best team doesn't necessarily always win the championship. There are a lot of variables that come into play. But how good was Baylor when you played them? And obviously they're number one seed. I get that. But how good was that team? Did you expect them to kind of be there at the end?
I said afterward in the press conference, right after, I said, this is the champion or the runner-up. I haven't seen Gonzaga, but this is the champion. I felt that good about their depth, their toughness, their coaching. Tip my hat to Baylor and Scott Drew. They did a great job.
Yeah, that was an amazing run, and what they did in that championship game was remarkable. So you've now been through this, right? You are now you are now seasoned, right? You are a seasoned NCAA certified. No, it's not certified, but you're an NCAA tournament participant, right? And so, what does this mean for the future now of the program? What are kind of your next steps?
Keep elevating. We have a line that we say: raise the bar, you lose the losers. Lower the bar, you lose the winners. We raise the bar. And we're going to keep raising the bar in everything we do. And now it's going to be a packed house. It's going to be rocking. It's going to be fun. And then you got huge opportunities getting student body more involved. It is huge. And I think that's where we are, Brian, getting the crowd, getting people that the wind is at your back. Get the wind at our back. We've been running uphill, 50-mile-an-hour winds for 10 years. Now you can feel you're over the hill, and now we're going to, keep on going, but the wind's at our back.
I love that. And I will say that as someone who has been to many, many games, it's a great venue. Chase is it's a great venue. It's a great campus, and it's a great night out. It really is. It's a lot of fun to head over there. Parking is easy. The product on the floor is easy. You're close to the players. You're close to the coaches. you guys really, and the school does a really good job. The athletic department does a great job in really making it a great show. In addition to the basketball game, I do have to ask you one more question though. There's got to be something. There's got to be some time off that you're spending, I hope, for your sake, for the sake of your family. Is there anything that you are doing? Did you give yourself a chance? At the beginning of the show here, I talked about the all too early predictions for next year. Did you get a chance, Coach, to savor this and maybe just take a little bit of time off the basketball court, maybe do something that was not basketball related?
Not yet.
Do you have a plan? Bahamas or something? Or
if I had a plan, I'd tell you. I'm a last second guy with that. I'm trying to build it for next year. I'll take a little time in May, maybe June, but I'm already on the next year, and we're going to be, we're gearing up.
Well, you talked about the neighborhood several times, and I want to be very, very clear that I know that you do not use that term loosely at all. Again, you have become a pillar in this community, and I think that I think a college basketball coach is, you can kind of do with it what you want. You can be the coach on the floor and leave it at that and build a program, or you can be a basketball coach and also a coach of the community. And when you say neighborhood, I always remember this, John, when I was with my boys and I saw you at the, I think at that point it was still the Rockcats, the New Britain Rockcats. And we saw you and we came up and you remembered our names. I hadn't seen you in a while. You remembered our names and my boys, they're more baseball players than they are but they are basketball. They do play that as well. They still talk about that. And so that exemplifies the neighborhood, and that exemplifies the success. If you're taking that time in the community to make others feel that way off the court, I can only imagine the impact that you're having on the court, the success that you're having on the court, the academics that your players, their academics that they have and the GPAs that they have, and how they're not only doing well on the basketball court, but also doing well in the classroom as well. It's a ton of credit to you on the program and the school. So I want to give you a full, from the deepest part of my heart, congratulations to you. It was amazing. I wish we could have been there. We all could have been there, but you're doing an amazing job.
Brian, you do a great job. I remember that with the Rockcats. And, here's what I would say is this community is our community. It's not yours and it's not mine. It's ours. It's our neighborhood. And we make of it what we want. And I don't believe a basketball coach should just be the basketball coach. I think the basketball coach can be many more things, and it can care about people. It can share. And I think there's ups and downs to everything we go. And if you have a neighborhood that you love, it makes it easier. And, not to quote my grandfather, but life's not easy. Okay. And who you surround yourself is in the end is what matters. And that's what this neighborhood is. It's real. It's special. And I have no desire to leave. I want to build this into a mid-major power. And I think we can do that here. I think we can get sellouts. I think we can, be a team that is multiple NCAA tournament team. And I'm not doing that for us. I'm doing that for the neighborhood, not for me, for all of us, so that we can enjoy something, because UConn is the state school and we are the neighborhood school. Totally different.
Love it. And all I can say is then continue doing what you're doing, because what you've built is something to be proud of for not just for you, but for the entire neighborhood and entire community. It's been fun to watch the evolution of the program, and it's going to be fun to continue it. So when the schedule comes out, please, it's Hartford, HartfordHawks.com.
Yeah. And I'll come on and we'll do a ticket preview.
We'll definitely do that. We're definitely going to have you on before the next season for sure. We'll have you come on. I want to definitely get you back on here. It's great to see you as always.
You're the best, Brian.
Check out a game. Always, when the schedule comes out, get your season tickets or pick a few games you want to go to. You will not be disappointed. I can guarantee you that. Coach John Gallagher, University of Hartford Hawks, NCAA tournament, first ever appearance. Thank you. I want to end the show by just saying, keep an eye on John, keep an eye on the University of Hartford, and finally, go Hawks.
Thank you.
Until next time.